everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are tackling a question that many developers ask. What type of application is more suitable for Docker, stateless or stateful? Understanding this distinction is crucial for deciding how best to containerize your applications. In this video, we will explore what stateless and stateful applications are, how they work with Docker, and which type is more ideal for containerization. So let's dive in. So first, let's start. What are stateless applications? Stateless application are applications that do not store any information about the user session or client state between requests. Each request is independent and the server doesn't need to remember anything about the previous interactions. Think of a stateless application like a fast food restaurant. Every time you go in, you place your order without expecting the cashier to remember your previous visits. Each interaction is independent and doesn't require the system to store any history. Um, an example of common stateless application, we have the RESTful APIs, the microservices, web servers serving static content like HTML pages. For instance, a typical HTTP request to a REST API is stateless. Each request is handled independently by the server without any knowledge of the previous requests. The second thing we need to talk about, which is what are stateful? Stateful applications are applications that retain information about the user session or client state between requests. The server keeps track of data such as user interaction across multiple requests. Think of a stateful application like hotel stay. The hotel knows which room you are staying in, how many nights you will be there, and keeps all your preferences during your stay. The server maintains a record of interactions for the duration of user session. There is a common example of stateful, which are database systems, shopping carts and e-commerce platforms, chat applications that store user history. For example, a shopping cart in an e-commerce website is stateful because it needs to remember what items the user has added until the checkout. Okay, let's talk about which type is more suitable for Docker. First, let's talk about Docker strength in stateful application. Stateful applications are generally more stable for Docker because they are easy to scale and manage. Docker containers are, I would say, ephemeral, meaning they can be easily created and destroyed without needing to maintain any internal state. This makes them perfect for scaling stateless applications where any container can handle any request. For instance, if you have a RESTful API application, you can spin up multiple Docker containers behind a load balancer to handle increased traffic, since each container doesn't need to store session data. You can add or remove instances without impacting the application's state. There are some still, let's talk about the challenges of the stateful application. Stateful applications are more challenging to run in Docker because containers are designed to be stateless and disposable. If stateful container fails, the state information might be lost unless it's managed correctly. For database running in Docker container, data persistence is a major concern. You need to configure volumes to ensure that data is stored outside of the container so that it remains intact even if the container is destroyed. There is a solution for that. Like to run a stateful application in Docker, you can use features like Docker volumes to process data or leverage external database and state management tools to store a state outside of the container. Tools like Kubernetes can also help manage stateful workloads with features like persistent volumes. For example, If you need to run a MongoDB database in Docker container, you would mount a volume to store data so that it persists beyond the life of the container. This way, even if the container is restarted, your data remains intact. Okay, so let's talk about the best practices of running application in Docker. Stateful application use Docker for application that doesn't need to maintain state. This makes scaling and management easier. The stateful application, if you need to containerize the stateful services, use volumes for data persistence, and consider leveraging orchestration tools like Kubernetes for better management. Um, in external management state for stateful workloads, consider moving state management outside of the container to an external database or storage system. So to sum it up, the stateless applications are the best fit for Docker because they align with the Docker's philosophy of if ephemeral and easily scalable containers. Stateful applications can still be run in Docker, but they require additional configuration for data persistence and reliability. By understanding these differences, you can make better decisions about how to containerize your workloads effectively. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and see you in the future.